You guys are both joining me here on this journey to get back to myself, which is priceless. Because that's what I was speaking about when I was down with the other herd of horses, right? Is that we have that connection to the intrinsic things that we do and who we are, but our whole life is this journey to kind of come back to that and really express it. Because at some point, that innocence of it, or our vulnerability within that innocence, gets lost, or we disconnect from it, right? It feels like it's broken. We don't know where to find it. We don't know where to find who we are. And so it's this journey of going everywhere to kind of come full circle back to it. And so it's priceless to me that my whole journey this morning for this webinar with you guys was exactly that, right? Traveling the road to get to one herd, working there, my communication, everything. So to come back to this herd at home, right? Who we are is in essence what my horses have helped me become and do for myself, because I needed that for myself. And so I'll just kind of shift. I have baby Percy laying down, and so her mom is standing over her, and everybody else is kind of in a lineup supporting that as like almost a constellation, right? Which, again, if we connect to our lives, there's this whole, whether it's our ancestors or the people that come into our lives through groups like these, that we our web of support. And with that, like the different dynamics and how people move in that almost lends itself to our opening, I guess, right? And in saying that, that experience, Kelly, with your necklace and then my necklace, like how synchronistic was that, right?
Right.
And for anybody that doesn't know the background of that story, Kelly, do you want to share a little bit about yours, and then I'll kind of add to?
Sure. I was, Jess and I had been talking, on and off, whatever, and I would always notice that she had a necklace on, and I kept having this nudging to ask her about the necklace, and I kept saying no, that's private, don't ask anything about it. So maybe 2 weeks after or something like that, I was getting ready for a wedding, and I happened to be just looking at this necklace that I had on, that I've had on my mother passed away. She had given it to me, and there's a lot of things that go behind, emotions that go behind the necklace, that, not, all those mother-daughter type things. And when I put the necklace on, when she had given it to me, I wanted it to be her, being this loving mother, and I wanted it to be as if she was giving me a big hug around my neck, and I just wanted all these things, because that was something that she was just unable to do while she was alive. So I thought, well, her giving me this, that's what this must mean. And so I was getting ready for that wedding, and I thought, this is kind of a light wedding. I just want a nice little necklace on, and I had taken the necklace off. And I immediately had this deep breath that I could finally breathe. And it was like, I didn't realize that I wanted my mother to be giving me this hug, but she wasn't giving, it was like I was trying to just have this thing that just wasn't it. And until I could come to terms with that sort of thing, the representation that I was giving this was like this weight, this choking. I couldn't even speak, and all these things. So taking it off just absolutely freed me. So then maybe a week after I had taken it off, she had shared in one of her posts that, about her necklace, and it had just literally flung off of her. So we had connected, the other night. I said to her, I just wanted to let you know that every time that I looked at you with that necklace on, I wanted to ask you about it, but there was just something that was preventing me from doing that. And then she told me her story, which I'll let her tell the story about. But it was very, very strange. But ever since I have taken that necklace off, my life has just absolutely exploded.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. And so where my piece comes in is back in 2015, I was on this path and had met in real life the Black Panther, which to me is part of my shamanic journey of life and symbolized a lot to me about going into the depths of the underworld and the magic and mystery that's all part of that. And so, yeah, about a week or two ago, I sat up in bed one morning and this pendant just flung off of my neck. And I knew right away, okay, this is meaningful in my life. Like, pay attention to this. And so what kind of came in through another series of events was that I've always worn something, right? When I was young, it used to be a cross around my neck, and it evolved to, me on this spiritual shamanic kind of path. And so this jaguar, when he left my neck, I realized that that was my talisman. And I will always, take this and hold it when I needed to find myself and needed to trust in who I was, and almost felt like I needed protection. And so now, what I realized is that it's not about that, right? It's about me. I don't need to protect myself anymore. I need to really step into who I am and who I came here to be. And I can't do that when I'm hiding. And I can't do that when I'm protecting myself. And so that actually Stormy, another one of my young ones, moved to really hold space for this. And these guys are all, I'll show you guys, just kind of lined up.
Mhm.
And so thank you, Kelly, for sharing that. And for those of you who don't know, Kelly and I have only known each other for maybe a couple months at most.
Yeah.
Really gotten to know each other over the last couple of weeks. And so the synchronicity of it is kind of how I live and roll with my life. And I would assume that Kelly is the same thing. I know we share the same life path of 9. So it's like we're here to transform the collective by being that experience. And I can't be it when I'm protecting myself or I'm having something that is the thing that does the work, because it's actually not, right? It's who we are that does the work. And that feels like that whole path back to our innocence and our vulnerability. That's not ours to hide. It's ours to share. And I know that my whole experience with my horses has been just a really deep and ever evolving dive into just how to show up and be present with whatever's coming up. And sometimes that looks beautiful, and a lot of times it looks kind of dark, but it's all, in going there and allowing myself to go there and be in the process of it, it's not only transforming myself or whoever I'm connected to, but it's helping all of us, right? Yeah. And when you go there, did we lose her?
Now, I'm here. I couldn't hear you, though. It kind of broke up.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yeah, I was just talking about going, it's being present. I guess the two things that my horses have taught me the most is be present for whatever is there right now. And be grounded in that, right? When we're grounded in that, we can move through any, when I was 7, just before my 8th birthday, I got kicked in the head by a horse, and I was unconscious, and I basically dissociated and left my body. And so I realized this in the last couple of weeks. That was why I got kicked in the head, was so I could experience and have the actual experience of coming back into my body and moving from being unconscious to conscious. And that it hasn't been an journey, but I wouldn't trade it for the world, because it's, I've had to really learn through the experience of life how to do all of everything. It hasn't come easy, but everything is a blessing and a curse, right? It depends on our. Yeah. And so I guess, just with initially when we were on, you were sharing that, you don't really feel a lot of awareness around it. And I said, yeah, but you do, right? It's that intrinsic thing that we can't really describe or put into words, but it's that felt sense experience of, or the felt sense understanding that we get that is beyond words. right? That's how we interact and how we move in the world.
Somebody told
Yeah.
me this really interesting story about something like that, with people who question whether they do have that ability to understand without, words. And they said, has a dog ever come up to you and said, I'm hungry? You just absolutely know that, or a cat, when they need, so everybody can do that. They think that that's, oh, well, everybody can do that. Well, no, that is a communication that's nonverbal with an animal. So just about everybody can do that on some level. It's just getting that strength and that the thinking that you can do that.
Yeah, I love that. The strength and the courage to be okay with being different, right? Because how we communicate with humans is not how we communicate with animals, anything else that's living on the planet. And yet, for many of us, myself included, I felt like I was always weird. I didn't belong because I would way much rather be with them because there was too many energies going on with humans. And yet it's because of the animals that I've learned how to move in the world with humans.
Yeah.
And not only move in the world, right, but make a difference while I'm moving. And I think for anybody this, we're all here to make a difference on some level. And really that doesn't matter if you like what you're doing, right? It's an expression of who you are, and that trusting is really the biggest thing, right? And just feeling safe that we can go out and do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think even too, just showing, when you're showing up and, at the grocery store and you're nice to somebody, or just, even just, giving somebody a smile or saying, hey, have a great day. You just never know what those little things will ever do for people, I think. So I think your message is absolutely fabulous.
Yeah. And I'm just kind of waiting. It's like there's this big thing that wants to come in, but I don't know how to put it into words yet. So I'm just, do you have anything to add?
I feel very similar to what you said about being more comfortable with the animals than I am with people. The lesson I haven't quite learned yet is how that helps me maneuver in the world with people. That's something I'm going to have to spend some time processing.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. I'm just kind of trying to feel into that. I guess, does it feel like you can just really not have to worry about anything or when you're with them?
Yeah, I think that's what I was getting, that I'm more, it's a comfort level of just being myself versus having to be what the situation expects of me.
Yeah.
That I make up that the situation.
We all do, Juanita.
Yeah.
But I'm just realizing, I think now I'm just to the point of realizing that that's what I do. There's always that, am I being the person that's expected? Maybe that's it.
And I thank you for sharing that, because I can't speak for Kelly, but I can speak for myself that has been my whole life, is trying to not only figure out why I'm doing, why I'm not okay with being who I am, but and then to step into, right, because we aren't very powerful when we're just trying to be somebody that we think everybody else wants to be, right?
No, that's true.
Yeah. And yet we're terrified, I'm speaking on behalf of myself, to show up as the person that we easily are with the animals or when we're by ourselves, right?
Yes.
Yeah. And so I guess even with that, it just feels right now, it's funny because I can't remember if I shared this already, but just that being present and grounded, I think I did. But again, there's those two specific things that every day, I mean, the horses, I have a number of them here that I can attach to the story of who they are, but then I show up for them as who they were yesterday, not who they are today. And they don't do that for themselves, right? They just move each moment and they're present with how they need to be in that moment. And yet we as humans often have some sort of backstory of our own, right? We have all our that are inside of us that we kind of took on as we had to adopt this way of being in the world that really wasn't authentic to us. And so I feel like this is probably a huge message that is part of many of us that would listen to this, right? Or that all of us that are part of trying to do greater work in the world is just, it's not even finding those triggers and releasing them. It's more of just finding who we are and being that person, right? Because the more we do that, the more it gives permission for everybody else to do that too. And that we don't have to make it all right. We can just be who we are, and depending on where we're at in a process, because life is a process, right? Yeah. So I guess with that, and these guys feel like they're really in space for this. I just want to shift. You guys, I don't know if you guys can see baby Percy.
Yeah.
Yes.
Do
so-
horses usually do that, Jess?
Lay down.
Well, no, I mean like kind of like stand over them, like her, like that.
They will do that with like there'll always often be somebody who is standing and being the sentient or the watching the herd, right?
Really?
Or when the most beautiful thing I've ever had, they all lay down because you're the one standing being that
Oh
sentient.
yeah. I
Yeah.
did not know they did that.
Yeah. And so they all, like as the older horses, they will stand and go into the zone, right? Kind of drop their heads and their eyelids will get heavy. But the younger ones will take that opportunity to drop down and ground themselves.
Wow.
Yeah. And it's beautiful. And all right. And then that happens.
Just like life.
Exactly. Just like, and they move and everybody shakes it off. And it's kind
And
of
that's what we can learn from, right?
And so it feels, this is Desi. She wants to, not even wants to, but just is showing up. And she's a lot about grounding energy. She's very deliberate, slow. She's very powerful in who she is, and doesn't need to be up close and personal with you. Although sometimes she will, but it's just her, her being in this space that shifts things and transitions things, right? So, yeah.
Sorry.
No, that's all right. It feels just to kind of take a deep breath and feel all of this energy that's maybe on behalf of them, attuning us and moving through us. Because every time I used to wonder, well, how do I bring this work out to the world? Well, every day I go out to my horses, something new transpires, or there's like a new opening or a level of something. And so with that knowing, I don't need to know what's happening, right? All I need to do is show up and tune energy and share it with you guys and kind of translate what I'm feeling and sensing. And that these horses and Sadie right now, they've all kind of shifted out there, Sadie, Desi, and Stormy. And there's a lot of yawning and licking and chewing going on. So that to me signifies that there is an integration of this shifting within us, right? For us and anybody that listens to the replay, because it's energy is energy, right? We know that it's the or destroyed, it just changes forms. And so as it changes forms, that's the most beautiful thing in the world, that it can help us transform the energy, right? It's transforming us and we're transforming it. And we're the receiver and the giver of it, right? And I feel like I really need to turn and show you guys these guys. Because it's like Stormy is now ready to move through the and
Kelly, did you see that horse? Did you feel like she was looking directly at
Yeah,
you? It did me. Her eye was just penetrating right to us.
so that one that moved, this is her mom right here. So right now I have the grandma, Percy, and Summer. So that's like a grandma, mom, and daughter.
wow.
Yeah. And so Stormy just came back in. She went out, explored, and came back. And it's like what I feel is that she's bringing back new information, right? The field. She kind of went out through the gate, through the opening, and gathered new information and is bringing it back to these guys for all of us. And I'm just trying to be conscious of my time, because I don't know how long this will go on for. I know it shuts off eventually because we only have a specific amount of time. And this maybe feels almost like a good time to kind of bring it to you guys if you have any questions or insights or anything that you want to share.
Juanita, do
I just really like and appreciate the way you use that you use your energy in observing the horses and then communicating what's going on. Like when Stormy came back in and you said he's bringing new information to us. That's, to me, is so interesting. And that they all want to come and participate.
They do. Yeah. Thank you for that. That's, it feels like we all do that, right? There's things in our lives that we maybe don't recognize, because it was really only through doing this for somebody else that I started to recognize how these guys, my ability to translate became better, and them showing up because I showed up, it just is an amplification of it, right? Every time it's more and more. Yeah.
Yeah.
But that each one of us, I believe, does this in our own life, in our own way that is unique to us, right? And it's just noticing that, right? Kind of like we talked about before, where you said you're not really aware, but you very much are, right? It's just noticing that, because it's so a part of us that we don't notice we do it, because we just do it.
Yes.
And
So
I think for me, what keeps coming back to me time and time again, almost every day now, is just showing up, not having the need to know why, where, who, but or even anything, just showing up. It's like the writer just sitting there at the paper, or the artist, just sitting there with a paintbrush in their hand, or just showing up in whatever way, shape, or form. And as Jess just said, it will reveal itself. It does. And I think for me, and what I think Jess is saying is letting things just happen in a natural way. When for me anyways, when I start to force things to happen, yes, I'll get a result, but it's never a long standing happiness, this or that or whatever. And it's when you can just allow whatever to happen. Like when Juanita, when you said that the horse, did you see her looking at us? And I thought to myself, she's looking through all of this to who I am.
Yeah.
And that's and I think that's the showing up, just looking right at to who you are. So
Yes.
Thank you, Jess. Yeah.
That's that it doesn't matter who, if you show up to something that I am sharing and part of, that means you're part of it too, right? And again, it's like moving that out into the world, because anybody who shows up in our experience is exactly like you shared, right? They're seeing through everything and seeing who we are, even if they don't know it. And the more we know it and feel it within ourselves and just show up to be present in a grounded way for whatever's going on or whoever's showing up, that there's information and ability to transform, on many levels just by showing up. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Well, I guess with that, I just want to thank you guys both, and on behalf of me and the herd here, for you guys showing up and being present. Just take a deep breath. Maybe just feel into your body with all of it, and recognize that just by you showing up and being present, that you're transforming everything and everyone around you.
Thank you so much, Jess.
Thank you, Jess, and thank the horses.
I will do that. All right. Much love, guys. Thank you.
Bye.
Have a good Bye.